welcome to the Oxford Sandy Pig Group Pig Production Costing Tool Overview. Just thought I'd give the opportunity to show people how the tool works and how to get the most out of it. It's based on Excel and allows you to work out the costs of your meat pigs, and if you're a breeder, what it costs to keep your pigs for a year, and potentially the cost of a weaner to production. And there's also the how to estimate the dead weight of your pig based on the live weight for when it goes to slaughter. So each of the options has got a help form with it that explains how the tool works and what you need to fill in. We'll start off by going through if you were a pig breeder. So basic entry input. So how many sows do you have? So I'm going to say that I've got 2 sows and 1 boar. And I typically buy my feed in 20 kilo bags, but if you buy it in 25 kilo bags or by the ton, it lets you work out the cost based upon that. But we're going to do this for this instance based on 20 kilo bags. And then it asks you how much you pay for your feed. So if you pay by ton, you put the ton rate in. If you pay per bag, then you put the bag in. So at the moment, it's £6.41 for a 20 kilo bag. And also water. I don't know if you're on a water meter or you pay fixed costs, but if you're on a water meter, your bill should tell you how much you pay per 1,000 litres or cubic metre of water. And that's about £1.25 for me at the minute. And then how much is your bedding? I mean, if you're buying in straw and make your own straw, or you're using wood chips, you can just put a value in here for each unit that you use. Again, whether that's a bale or a Heston, or you're taking a slice out, and then it asks you to proportion your bedding. So each time you clean the pig ark out, how much of that unit do you put in? Do you put in a whole bale, half a bale? I'm going to say on this instance that I use half a bale at a time, and that I change the bedding once a week. And you'll see that these will all have an impact over here on the pig breeding costs, the water costs and the feed costs, etc. And then it asks you how much you feed your animals. So typically, this is done in kilos. So 2.5 kilos is about £5. That's probably about the average weight for a full-size sow. You probably feed her more when she was in, when she's got a litter. But this is about an average. And if you've got a boar, you probably feed them maybe slightly more. I'm going to say 2 3/4 kilos a day. Over split. And then it asks you to factor in your BPA membership, how much you pay a year. These are preset values based upon the rates at the minute. So based on having 2 sows or 3 registered animals, it's £60 a year. And if you rent the land that you keep the pigs on, you can put a value in here of how much you pay annually. I mean, I don't rent anything, but for argument's sake, I've got a field that I pay £250 a year for, where I keep my pigs. And then this factors in the next cost is about your pig grower feed, so how much it costs again per unit, and that's based upon this input here of 20 kilos. So it's typically dearer. I'm going to say this time it's £7 a bag, you know, and that I sell my weaners at 8 weeks. I can go on to say I sell them at 10 weeks, and obviously that factors that into the cost. And then there's also, if you're hiring out your boar, you can factor in some of your savings here. As to what you do, how much you charge per cover, and how many times a year that you hire it out. I'm going to say 0 for this instance. And if you didn't have a boar and you did AI, you can enter in the price that you pay from, like, to Deer Park, which is typically £35. And you know, on my 2 sows, you know, I might use that once a year. And you'll see that this all factors in over here to the daily cost of your sows and boars. You'll see that the sow daily rate is slightly higher because I've got 2 of them and only 1 boar. That's why there's a difference there. And it gives you a cost annually of what it costs to keep your breeding stock. So this has come up at £904 and 13 pence a year. And you'll see the breakdown here on how that's split. Now, if you have any miscellaneous costs that you want to factor in there, you've had a vet visit that's cost you, I don't know, £75 or something, you can put that there as a one-off. And you'll see this will come up with a total value that for the year it's potentially cost me £2,002.86 to keep my 3 breeding pigs. So that's how you work that bit out. There's also this calculator here works out the price per kilo for your feed. These are not values you can enter, they're based upon what you input here. Anyway, so that's how you work out your breeding costs. It's cost you a year. And over here you can see that last year, sorry, I skipped this value earlier, that I raised 45 piglets up to 10 weeks. If I say that I actually raised 60, you'll see that it reduces this cost here of what it costs you based upon the cost of feeding those piglets and feeding your cost, the unit price per piglet when it comes to sale. So based on the values that I've inputted here, you'll see that it comes back with a value of £36.38 to produce the 60 weaners that I raised last year. Next tab of the calculator is about your meat pig costs. How many of your pigs are you keeping to raise on for meat for your table or selling? So you'll see here that I have an option to say, do I buy in my weaners or am I producing them myself? And if I say no, it lets me put in a value for each piglet that I bought. So if I put in a value, say £50, and I bought 6, for example, that I raised to meat weight. However, if I say that I don't buy my weaners, it will use the value to calculate the cost that was worked out over here, the £36.38, to work that out. And I'm going to say that I only raised 3 this year. And again, these are your food values, how much you pay for your grower and whether you buy it by the tonne. And then there's obviously the slaughter price for your pig. It's actually gone up now. I pay £27 to have them slaughtered, and then my butchery is £28. And then it asks you which age you send your pigs to slaughter. I'm going to say typically 6 months. And again, this value here is about how much your water rate costs. If you pay a fixed rate for your water, you can just put that as 0. That's not an issue, or you can factor in a piece there. And then down here we have the daily feeding rations, depending on whether you're raising them to 3 to 9 months, and typically how much you feed them a day. And that's based you buying in the weaners at 8 weeks of age. So I can go and change these values as I wish, my daily feeding rates, and you'll see up here that the feed rate number changes. So these are all pre-populated based upon the cost per pig and versus the total cost. If you're over here, if you're having, when your pigs go off, most butchers will charge extra for bacon and sausages. So you can estimate basically how many kilos of sausage you want. I'm going to say 10, and I'm going to say that my butcher charges me an extra £1, 40 per kilo of sausages that he makes. And the same for the bacon and gammon. I'm going to say that I had 1 leg made, 1 leg at 4 kilos, and the butcher potentially charged me about £2.75 a kilo to work out those costs. Again, over here you've got the manual input. So if you want to factor in your costs, if you have to do a 60-mile round trip to the abattoir, you might want to factor in it's costing you 50p a mile. You might want to put in a fixed number here, for example, say it costs you £15 in fuel, and it'll factor that in. And then again, any miscellaneous costs, again, that can come down to any veterinary costs that you may have to do, or purchase of ear tags that you want to factor into your total cost. So, and then that will work out that it's, to raise these 3 piglets I've picked here has cost me £665 or £221.72 per pig. So that's what it costs to raise you. This bit down the bottom here allows you to potentially work out some return on what you're selling. So potentially, we'll come to how you calculate the dead weight of a pig, but typically the abattoir will tell you the pig come back at 62.5 kilos, right? And that will basically say, based upon this cost of £221.72, a 62 kilo pig works out it's cost me £3.55 per kilo to produce. So I hope this is all making sense and that you're keeping up. If you want to make an estimate, so if you're selling a whole or half pig and you're selling it based upon a given unit price, to say that flat throughout that you're charging £8 a kilo, it will work out based upon that the point of sale value is £500 based upon it being 62.5 kilos, and that your profit for that pig is £278.28. Over here, if you want to be more specific about how you're selling your cuts rather than per pig, you're doing it per primal. So you could say that you charge a leg, you charge £12 per kilo per leg, you charge £7 per kilo of belly, for loin you charge £15, and for shoulder you charge I don't know, £10.50 for example. And then it works out based upon a percentage split of these primal cuts against the dead weight of the pig, potentially what your return's going to be selling at those prices, to potentially your retail value there of £654 based on you selling at these unit prices. And then you can then work out as well that if you've had 10 kilos of sausages made and 4 kilos of bacon made, you can say that you sell, you know, your kilos, typically a bag of 6 sausages is typically £1. You know, it could be £3.50 a bag, which is roughly £7 a kilo, but I'm going to say £7.50 a kilo from the sausages. That's potentially what my return is there. And then from a bacon, I might say, you know, I've had 4 kilos of bacon, and again, I sell my bacon at £14 a kilo, and then it gives you a potential return there of what you can get from your bacon. But this doesn't take into account up here if you've it's not an addition to the £654 if you've taken out a percentage of the loin to be made as bacon. That's not factored into the overall price on there. That is something I'm working on to develop. Okay, the last tool is the live weight versus the dead weight, and this is all based on you using a tape measure or a piece of string to measure the length, which is from the base of the neck behind the ear right to the top of the tail is one measurement, and then the measurement around just under the shoulders of the leg around the belly there to give you a sort of a waist size. Now, depending on whether you're you know, you're like centimeters or and kilos or pounds and inches, you can change the value here depending on what you're going to work it out at. And you know full well, obviously, if you change this value here, this is going to go up significantly because of the rate to pounds to kilos and centimetres to inches, sorry. I'm going to stick with centimetres, you know, and we can say that my pig measured from head to tail measured 115 centimetres, and its girth was 90 centimetres, and that will tell me the approximate live weight of my pig is 64.55 kilos. Again, this is based on the standard stuff that you can Google on the internet about the tape measured. It's no way going to give you 100% accuracy, but it should give you a rough indication. And then based on that, it gives you potential dead weight. So after they've taken out the pluck and you know the stuff that's discarded, potentially give you a weight based on a percentage reduction of 48 kilos worth of usable pork. There's further calculation over here where you can stipulate. Again, it works out the loin cost per side and the potential weight for each cut, and then it allows you to say, you know, how much of your pork belly will go into sausages. Well, you can say, well, all my pork belly is going to go into sausages, and I'm going to put in 60% of my shoulders will go into that, and that my sausages are made at 90% meat ratio, and that will tell me how much meat and how much sausage I'm potentially going to get returned based upon that. That's just a little add-on, but this just gives you a guide of how big your pig is going to be, and give you an estimate. Again, you can then use this value here if you don't have your pigs back from the abattoir yet and you're trying to work out what potentially what you can return. You know, the approximate dead weight here is 48 kilos. You can go back to your pig production cost and say that, you know, it was 48.21 kilos, and then obviously that has an impact on what your costs are potentially going to be. Again, this is just a guide. You know, I mean, I like to think it's you know, statistically accurate. You know, but I'm sure that, well, I mean, I think there's always going to be some variation, especially if your pig's slightly over fat and you're having the fat trimmed off. You'll obviously lose a bit of the weight when it comes to working down those primals. But again, it's just to give you an idea. You can download this tool from the shop. If I just open the internet, the Sandy and Black website, the tool's available in our shop. So if you go to shop, you're able to download the calculator for free. The reason it's through the shop is so that we can, well, basically see who's using it, but then also provide you directly with updates to the tools every time we do it, and also reach out to you for feedback. So if we look in the shop, the pig producing calculator is down here. You see it's completely free. So if we go to click on that item, it will open up the item. You can then add it to your basket. You can see that it's still free. You see it's free and there's no shipping cost, and we proceed to check out. And basically what you'll do, you'll then get an email through to you confirming this, and a link to download the calculator. That link is specific to you, and will only allow you to download the file once. But like I say, if there are problems, you can always reach out to me, Andrew, at oxfordsandyandblackpiggroup.org. I hope you found this video useful. Any questions, you can comment below on the Facebook group. Thank you very much.